It's either two things. I tend to find being in a car like a really introspective space, because usually I'm not driving. So when I'm sat there in the back or in the passenger seat, I'm usually looking out the window. I'm either, you know the cliches, you're imagining yourself in a music video, or I'm just kind of daydreaming about something. And because the ambience, depending on what the mood of the music is, if it's mellow, I'm probably going to be thinking something reminiscent. If it's something upbeat, I'm probably thinking about partying or doing something fun.
Quite a bit of anxiety, because I don't have much faith that the wheels won't come off the car, or the whole thing might break down, or that other drivers might do the wrong thing, or I might do the wrong things.
I love being in the car, especially on my own, because I can sing out loud to the music full blast.
A lot of anxiety, actually. Even though I've been driving for 4 years, driving is terrifying.
A sense of freedom. Freedom from like everyday life, but also just from all like the negative emotions that you have, like or like stresses that you have back home.
It's a great feeling, especially if you take a car and you go to, let's say, Autobahn in Germany. It's fabulous feeling, that freedom. You can just go and drive as fast as you want, and obviously being careful at the same time, but it's freedom.
My dad, especially when he drops me off to uni, he's an like uber debater and an introspector. So whenever we're driving, it's some kind of philosophical talk. When I was a teenager and I was like kind of off the rails, it was always about, you know, how I can be better, how I can do this. And it would always turn into this massive debate, and he's like Serbian, so he's like, he talks like he's from New York.
So I was driving pretty slowly up this road, and a car shot out of the side street and hit the side of the car. And the car, I mean, I thought that somebody had been shot, because the noise was like a gun. It was this enormous bang.
I've definitely felt both anger and I've cried. There's one occasion actually when I was driving from my Cambridge student home to my family home, and it's about an hour drive. And I just got a phone call from my mum, and she was just very deadpan and sad, and she basically said I needed to get home immediately, but she wasn't going to tell me anything on the phone. Instead, she wanted to tell me in person. So I was driving with complete, like, my imagination was going a million miles per hour. I wasn't going a million miles per hour in the car. And I did start bawling my eyes out because I thought someone was hurt,
I've only been quite unwell when I've been travelling, so that's quite difficult. You can't just go to your bed. You have to, and like if you're just like on a train, like you just have to like be there and be unwell, like in front of other people. And like you can hear them talking and being like, oh, that girl's unwell. So it's quite exposing, I think.
Well, we had one situation in Prague. We were traveling with my boyfriend, and we took his car from Germany, so we just drove from Germany to Czech Republic, and we stayed 1 night or 2 nights in this one hotel. We went to the parking space, which was like near the hotel or behind it. That someone had broke into our car. So it was a convertible car, and we had like a fabric roof. So someone had just like had a knife and just slit the roof open, taken whatever there was, navigator, my boyfriend's laptop. Don't know why he left it there.
Freedom. Yeah.
Freedom, definitely. When I was 13, my parents allowed me to drive my sister's moped. And the car behind me didn't realize I was crossing. There was an indicator on my moped, and she didn't see it. She thought that. And basically, when I was turning, she pushed me. So there was no speed, but my head touched the ground. I bounced back up. And I went back on the side of the road for my safety. And then I thought, I can't leave my moped on the road, I will create an accident. So I went back on the middle of the road, picked it up, and moved it on the side. And then the woman who had pushed me asked me where I lived, and she came with me to my parents. And she happened to be a GP, so she looked at my injury and...
It means going to my life, basically. So I do still live at home in Norfolk, so that's quite like an hour away. And my car means that I can travel from my home life to my work life, my personal life. A lot of my friends' work, etc. is here.
I really love how you can just sit on a train, but you feel like you're going somewhere, like you feel like you're moving forward in your life, like the train is doing it for you. So it's like a really like lazy way of like feeling like you're like progressing somewhere.
You can go with it to so many places, and it is exactly like freedom, because like for instance in Europe, like for instance in Europe you can go pretty much to any country with a car. You don't have to fly to places, you can just take a car and drive through.
Radio is very important.
Radio, it's like the lighting of the mood for you.
Yeah, and also, you know, sort of we switch it on to hear when World War III is starting and that kind of thing. It's quite important. Radio 3, Radio 4, mainly Radio 3, Radio 4, sometimes, especially when my husband's not in the car, Radio 2, but...
I've got probably 2 stations I listen to. If I need music, it's either something pop or Star FM, just to get a bit of music.
Because I drive every other day and I drive along, I drove here, so it's very prominent. I listen to music all the time. I've either got the radio on or I've got my many arrays of CDs in my car.
I always try and read a book that's like about the place that we're going to. So when we're going to Boston and like around like New England, I was reading about like the witch trials. And when we went to Finland, I was reading like a book that was set in Helsinki, and then I could be like, oh, I know that road, like I've heard of that.
I do sing. I put Bon Jovi on. I sing. Okay, so I'm driving. We put some Bon Jovi on. This ain't a song for the broken-hearted.
Well, normally I get some really good albums, music that I like, and I just sing. If I'm driving alone, I sing like crazy. If I were with more people, yes.
Every Sunday night I would drive to Ealing. And every Friday night I would drive back to my husband, again, empowering, because when I said to my friend, I'm driving to London on my own, and then, to go where and to do, what I've always dreamt of, to go to acting school. So that was a challenge already, and then drive on my own back and from. So it was really double challenge,
Actually, the A14 is very important to me because that's what gets me here. So that is it's vital to my work life, my personal life, and all of that I mentioned earlier.
Actually, yes, has been quite important. I've been moving a lot during my life. I really like to drive, I have to say, because for me it's a really relaxed experience. I know that I'm not in rush, never, so I just go with the flow. If I had to stop.
I was 1 year living in Ecuador in a family, and they had a house in the landscape in the middle of the nowhere with trees of bananas, fruits, papayas, everything. Yeah, this short trip was my first day with this family, and I'm still in contact with them.
One of the most significant was with my 2 older children. I thought I was being really clever, and I set off at sort of 11 or 10 or 11, and I put these little boys to sleep on the mattress. And so I set off, and there was no traffic, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I was coming down the road into Plymouth at 5 in the morning, and I thought, I'm doing really well here. And I'd forgotten to fill the car, and it ran out of petrol.
Driving most of the time is linked to going in an adventure. I quite like the long driving because most of the time is when you go on holiday or you discover something different.
Everyone's got their own routine and way of driving. And then suddenly when you see a crash or a collision, it makes you think that that can just stop at any time, and it's like an anomaly in the travel. And it's shocking because it just doesn't seem right, doesn't look right, and it's obviously very quite devastating.
It happens quite naturally because the people can't really react, so they have to be a listener. You know, if he's driving and you have something to say that is here.
You've got the floor.
Yeah, you've got the floor, he can't really react. So.
A man angrily got out of his car and walked over to the car in front and started bashing on the window, trying to get the guy's window open or the door open. And there was a horrible argument that happened then, which actually made me laugh more than anything, because in traffic all these eyes are watching you, and there's just this angry man bashing on a stranger's car, and you just think, what could this car have possibly done that made you that angry to get out of the car and start kind of, I don't know.
I observed a lot of arguments in the car when I was a kid, but I don't like arguments in the car because I had a bad experience by, I was traveling to Italy with some friends and my ex-boyfriend, and a friend of me, he was driving and he started an argument with his girlfriend. It was very rainy weather, we could not see it all, and the car moved on the road, it slided on the road, and we were looking at the other way, sawing cars driving to us, and this was very, scared me a lot. So
obvious kind of feeling of claustrophobia and wanting to get out of traffic situations. Absolutely, they are definitely situations that you want to not be in. I do a lot of sighing in the car, so I'll make sure the car's kind of in neutral or whatever, and then I'll just be there like I'm getting all agitated, I'm getting just very kind of frustrated with where I am, and I don't want to be there. But I know I can't abandon my car, I can't abandon anything, I have to just stay there. So I'll either turn the radio up or put on a new CD, or I'll try and distract myself. I always kind of either have to be moving or, don't know, just being occupied in a way.
There was a time I really tended to escape with the car in the forest 2 or 3 hours. Just to calm down a little bit. But by driving, not knowing where I would like to go. So
really you have felt lost?
It was like I wanted to be lost in this.
You wanted to be lost, yeah.
And suddenly there were 2 wild horses in front of me. I think it was a male horse with his girlfriend horse. And I was staring at them and they were staring at me, I think 2 or 3 minutes. And it was an experience, I was a little bit afraid, but at the same time it was joy and a total surprise. And then I started to cut some apples, but they were just staring at me. And then I moved a little bit, but they were staring at me. And then they started to run, and it was beautiful.
I remember coming back from the north, and I think it was the A14. I have an accident because I need to stop to put some direction in the sat nav, and what I thought that was a light by to just reduce and stop. It wasn't. It was a hand car wash place with the gates closed, and that was in the evening, already dark. So I literally crashed against a big block of concrete that they have to protect the gate. So my car was totally destroyed. I was fine, but the car was a little bit in the middle of the road, so literally blocking one of the lines, the line where all the lorries came. So I tried to move the car didn't. It was working, but didn't move because it was like hole with this concrete block. So I literally saw the lorries coming from the mirror, and for a second I just hold the driving wheel, close my eyes, and I say, okay, that's it. And the lorry just passed through so close to me. And I breathe, it's like, okay, I'm still alive. I need to move the car now. And after trying a little bit, the car moved, and I managed to put it apart on the road. But that second, I remember perfectly the lights of the lorry in the rearview mirror, and I thought, that's it.
You're not going to forget something like that in the
No. I learned a lesson. It was a big mistake from my side, yeah.
Yeah, dry apricot.
Dried apricot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Dried apricots.
Rosen's bread. That's my favorite snack, but it's my favorite snack at all in general. So not only, yeah.
I normally have a Coke or a bottle of water with me all the time. It's a way to just refresh and keep my voice running while I'm singing.
Some mini Oreos, like on the way back, some mini Oreos and some vanilla Coke.